Okay, hello everybody, this is Bloody Sword here yet again with another replay analysis. This time it is going to be a TVZ against the um, Red Zerg. It's going to be ElecTriC. Now, my opponent was actually a random player, so I wasn't quite sure his race going into this. So, um, getting things started off, I'm just going to be going for a regular Reaper expand because that's a pretty generic build that I feel works against pretty much every race. So normally I'll just try and get the barracks up and then the refinery, and then I'll start sending my SCV across the map. Now already we could make a minor adjustment because I just need to know my opponent's race by the time that I start making a building where it'll start diverging things, and that doesn't really happen until I make my natural expansion. So I think I sent my SCV out a little bit too early because again I'm just trying to scout for my opponent's race. So at 17 supply or roughly 55 seconds I just rallied my SCV across, and I think that's a little bit too early, so maybe I'll try doing it at 18 or 19 supply next time. Because again, I got there a little bit too early because my build didn't start diverging at this point, because I still need to save up a little bit more money for my natural expansion. Um, what else is going on? So I come in, scout the gas, see that he doesn't have like a ton of gas mined out. I've learned that each gas geyser has 2,250 minerals, so normally a Zerg player will stop at around 100 minerals. Unfortunately for me, I didn't get, or I didn't stick around, and I didn't get to see that he was continuing to mine gas because that is a pretty big deal. So I'm going to be poking in. I score a small victory and kill off a single Zergling, but besides that, really can't do too much damage. And then again, just that was a really weird rally point. I don't know what I was doing there. Scanning for a third base, see the drone, not able to place his third, and I'm pretty happy about that. Delaying a Zerg's third base is always nice. I see that he's sending out another drone, so I'm pretty happy with the scout. Zergling speed finishes at around 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So although I did lose the Reaper Scout, I feel like that information is very important. Now my opponent has gone for a baneling nest. Again, I did not know this because I was mainly just scouting for the third base. But what we have learned this game is that third base really doesn't matter when he's making a ton of Zerglings. I mean, look at this. Look at this Zergling count. It's a lot. So in terms of Hellions, we have 4, and you can do pretty well against Zerglings with speed with Hellions if they are off creep. And so I've lost to a lot of counterattacks while my wall is not complete. So I've been playing a little bit more defensively with my Hellions, just scouting in this area and this area if a Zerg player positions their units over here, because they can see pretty much when you're moving out because of overlords placed around your base. And I don't make an early Viking to get rid of that, so they'll always know exactly when to come into your base. Or my base anyway. And so we are just going to be continuing in. After I get my last pair of Hellions, I'm going to be moving across the map. I feel like this is pretty okay. Um, the main thing again was not being able, or not scouting the gas count in the main base, because at the natural expansion I didn't see a lair, I didn't see any tech buildings, so I thought it was pretty normal. I possibly could have seen the drone count because if we look at the drone count, he's only at 26 drones, which is pretty low for a Zerg player at this stage of the game. I go into his third base with my Hellions at this point because again, I'm just doing a regular Banshee build. I did see a couple of Zerglings over here, but I thought they were just scouting Zerglings, and that was a bad read by me. I come into the third base, I'm like, oh hey, there's no drones. This could possibly be a problem. And then shortly after that, I see a bunch of Banelings and Zerglings run into my natural expansion. So luckily for me, I did have a full wall off. This one wasn't quite done yet, but it does soak up a lot of the Baneling shots. If I had slightly quicker reaction times, then I could have possibly pulled some SCVs to repair the wall. But as it stands right now, I'm just going to be sending all my SCVs back to my main base in terms of units lost. Workers, so far he's killed 6, and he has to actually make up a lot of drone kills, or SCVs, because he doesn't have any drones. So at the moment, we lost quite a bit, but we're not doing too poorly. So I bring all of my Hellions back from the attack. I also bring my Banshee back. I'm actually not 100% sure if it was better to use this Banshee since it was already across the map in order to attack this drone line. I feel like Banshees are really good, except for they take a lot of micro, and all it takes is a Zerg to send the drones down to the natural, build a spore, or first build 2 spores, one in your main base, one in your natural base, and then just constantly reposition the drones until the spore crawlers are done. And then let's see, let's get rid of this. In terms of units lost, again, we're not doing too poorly. We're trading pretty well because, again, Hellions do pretty well against the Zerglings off of creep. And going to be fighting with the drones as well. I lose my stem upgrade, which is probably the most painful thing about this entire attack pressure that he did. But from this position, my opponent has pretty much 2 options. And the one that I was more scared of was him just mass droning up behind all of this. But what I didn't expect was him to go for just a flood of more units. So unfortunately for me, I'm going to be positioning all my units incorrectly for this because, again, I'm trying to go and do some counterattack harass damage because I thought he was droning up behind it. There's really no way for me to know, and let's just continue to see how this plays out. He is going to be, again, continuing to flood a ton of Baneling, Zergling. My wall up is not quite done, my second wall up, and because of that, I do a decent job kiting with the Hellions, but it wasn't quite enough in order to deal with this, and because of that, the counter and the last one is just going to ravage my SCVs, and I have no income at this point. I have a lot of minerals at this point as well, so I feel like that could possibly be the biggest place we can make an adjustment. I do have 3 orbital commands, so maybe it wasn't actually worth it in order to go do counterattack damage because we defended this and we're doing pretty well, right? From my position, I thought we possibly were doing pretty even because of me not losing too many SCVs during that attack. It's not like I lost like all of them. So since I have my 3rd CC up, I feel like maybe doing counterattack damage wasn't that important at all in this game. And that's probably the adjustment that we could make. It just felt natural to go for the counterattack because if he was droning behind it, then obviously. But I don't quite know what he's doing at this stage, and even if he was droning up behind it, again, not too far behind with the command center. So I think that's probably the biggest adjustment. If I make my 3rd CC, then we'll go for the um, defensive play, but if I decide to do a more aggressive, like following up with 2 more barracks and things like that, then we'll go for the more aggressive play, especially since I don't have stim anymore since he picked it off. Um, I won't be able to do too much, and so I'm going to be relying more on these Banshees. So we'll make that slight adjustment for next time. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys later.